I think we're live now. So, hey everybody who's already here. If you don't know who I am already, my name is Kayla Cox. I am founder of 6 Miles to Supper, which is both a YouTube channel and a website and a Facebook group now. And if you're not a part of the Facebook group, go ahead and be a part of it. If you're on Facebook already, I understand if you don't like Facebook, but if you are on Facebook, it's a great group of people, very encouraging. If you're doing the intermittent fasting thing, a lot of us kind of feel alone in that because not a lot of people around us do it. So it's a great place for support and just general kind of advice. You know, a lot of people are having the same kind of issues. So be sure to check that out. My husband is in here moderating comments as me. So that's how I'm able to talk with my hands all the time, and things still pop up magically on the screen. So thank you for doing that, Jay. Let's see. I've just to let you know, I've lost 80 pounds with intermittent fasting. Specifically, most of the time OMAD, and I walk 6 miles every single day, and I take a cheat day every Sunday. Hey Darlene, it's good to see you in here. So tonight's topic is about taking action, and I thought this would be a really good topic to cover. Last week we talked about dealing with overwhelm, and I think taking action is actually a really related topic to that. Hey PK Mom Life, yay! I'm glad you joined the Facebook group. I think you'll enjoy it. It's growing, and I was hesitant to start a group because I was afraid, like, is it going to be a place of argument and stuff? But it's not. It's been a wonderful place where everybody does their thing. You know, like we have people in there like me who I eat whatever I want. I have no restrictions on the types of food, what I'm eating. I eat lots of, carbs and sugar and fat and all that stuff and meat. And then we have some vegans in there, and we have some carnivores, and we have keto people and low carb, and we have all kinds, and everybody gets along swimmingly. So it's awesome. Hey everybody, Vicky. Oh, you're on day 9. Congratulations. JM Blanken. Hey, yeah, I made it. Yay. And so tonight's video, like, first I'll talk about a little bit about taking action, and of course, you can go ahead and start leaving your questions about intermittent fasting, and I will get to those in the order that they are put into the chat. So I want to talk a little bit about taking action because I feel like this is so important to take action, because really, if you don't take any action, you're just going to sit there and just never really accomplish what you want to do. Especially when it comes to weight loss, it can be so easy to just sit there like I used to do and think about, well, like overanalyze everything. Well, is that the perfect plan? Well, is there risk involved? I'll tell you right now, there's risk involved in everything. There's risks involved in pretty much any kind of eating plan that you ever go on ever, and it's like the jury is out on pretty much every plan. Like if you want to try to find proof that intermittent fasting is bad for you, go ahead, because I'm sure you can find plenty of articles saying, oh, there are these downfalls. Same with keto, same with veganism, same with carnivore, same with pretty much everything. So at some point you have to say, there is a risk that I'm willing to take. And for me, what I kind of came to the conclusion was, it's worse to remain obese, and I'm going to take some sort of chances. And you have to just take action and commit to something. And so, let's see. Action cures fear. That was a quote from David J. Schwartz from The Magic of Thinking Big, which is a book that I've never read, but I've heard it referenced so many times that I've got to read that book. It's on my list of things to read. But it's true. I have found it so true. Once you start acting, you just start doing things, the fear starts to melt away. When you start taking action on your weight every single day, it starts becoming less of a thing in your mind. It's not so scary anymore because you're taking action. You know that you're eventually going to get to where you want to be because you're going to continue to take action. And that's another part of that, I think, that's really important, is continuing on, being consistent with your action. You can't just do it one day and then quit, after you don't lose 5 pounds that day. You have to just say, I'm doing this and I'm committing to it for the long haul, and you just take action every single day. There is one thing that it really helps me just start to take action. There's this video by Art Williams, I think his name is. I wrote it down because I'm horrible with names. I'm trying to get better, but I'm really bad at it. I think his name is Art Williams. Well, I thought that I had written it down, but it's called Just Do It. And it's not about Nike, but it's just about taking action. No excuses, taking action. But the actions don't have to be big. That was another lesson I had to learn. It took me forever to get it through my thick skull, but I read a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And it's all about taking small actions over time, and they compound to be these big changes. But I'll give you an example from my own personal weight loss journey. Okay, with intermittent fasting, when I finally got consistent with it, that's when I had results. Before that, I was not being consistent. I was just, I would act a little bit and I'd have some results, and then I would like overthink it, and then I'd stop and I'd quit. And then when I finally got back to it, I would have some more results. But when I really got into the mindset of, I'm just going to make these changes slowly over time. So, for example, with fasting, I started out with an 8-hour fast, which most people will tell you that's not fasting. You've got to fast for at least 12 hours, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I started out with 8-hour fast. That was basically saying I'm not going to eat between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. I'm going to at least wait till 6:01 to have breakfast. And then I slowly pushed breakfast out. I didn't even start out skipping breakfast. I just pushed breakfast out. And then I pushed it to my first meal was lunch. So my point is, you can lose 80 pounds even by doing it the slow and steady way, making these tiny little changes to your eating over time. It takes longer, yes. But is it sustainable? Yeah, I think it's even more sustainable than if you just say, I'm going to go to one meal a day. Some people do that and with great success, but I'm just saying you can do it both ways. So that's, just taking it 1 pound at a time, one step at a time. Another thing that I did really slowly, incorporating a habit over time, taking action on it, was my step goal. I started out, I was not consistent at all. Again, when I got consistent with it though, in 2016 when I said, okay, 6 miles a day, that's when the weight loss started to be consistent. So, but again, it starts out with saying, well, what can I do right now? Well, in the beginning, I couldn't do 6 miles consistently every day. I would just do as many as I could. Sometimes I would do 10,000 steps, and then I would kind of not do as many, and then I would just, I was just not consistent. But eventually I worked my way up to 6 miles, and doing it consistently. That was the key. And you can do that for a lot of different things. It's just a matter of kind of getting into the habit of taking action. And it can even be unrelated to weight loss. I think just getting into that, like, okay, I'm just going to take action on it as soon as you think about it. Mel Robbins, if you've never seen her TED Talk about, I can't remember the title of it, but Jay will put it in the comment section. But really, it's about, you have like a 5-second window to take action. Otherwise, you're going to talk yourself out of it. So as soon as you have that thought of, I should do that thing, do it. Just take action on it immediately. And that can help you to start to become the type of person who takes action instead of procrastinating, instead of saying, oh, well, eventually one day I'll do it, or even overthinking it, because we can overthink it and talk ourselves out of it. So that's a really good one too. I even do things like one of my overarching kind of what would be philosophies in life is to leave the world a little bit better than I found it. And so one way I do that, and it seems really small, and it is really small, and it probably, if you think about it logically, it's like, is that really going to make a difference? No, probably not. But I'll pick up trash on our walk. Like, we walk 6 miles every day, and lately I've gotten back into the habit. I was in a habit for a while and I kind of got out of it, but I got back into the habit of just picking up pieces of trash. If I see a piece of trash and I know there's a trash can nearby, I'll just go ahead and pick it up, and then I throw it away. And that little thing, even though it is such a little thing, and you may think, well, what difference does it make? it at least makes it a little bit nicer for other people who come along and they don't have to look at trash. And it gets me into that, like, it seems to have this cascading effect for the rest of my day of taking action, taking action. So, let's see. So, I would say the 3 things that I took action on that really helped me to lose the 80 pounds. 1, walking 6 miles every day puts me in a good mood, keeps me on track. 2, intermittent fasting, 6 days a week. That's what I did from 2016 when I lost down to like 157, and then again when I picked it back up in like 2017. I decided I wanted to lose some more at the end of 2017, so that's how I lost the rest of the weight. And now I'm right around 140. So I started at 222, yeah, and then now I'm down to like 140. And the way I did that was simply intermittent fasting 6 days a week. It doesn't have to be really, really strict. I eat whatever I want. Again, it's just like consistency over time. And weighing myself every day, because that keeps me accountable. It's one action I can do every day to hold myself accountable to where I'm at with my weight. So, let's see. I think that covers everything. And don't feel overwhelmed. Like Mother Teresa had this great quote, which said, if you can't feed 100 people, feed one. And that is so hard. I think, like, especially like when we're thinking about like our weight, like, oh, I got 100 pounds to lose. You may have that, like, I've got to lose 100 pounds. Don't focus on the 100 pounds. Just think about getting off 1 pound and then move on to the next pound, and just take action on that 1 pound. And like, there's this app called DonorSee that I've been using lately, and I love it. And it's the same kind of thing. It shows you these little projects that you can fund, and it's got a specific dollar amount, and they give you video proof of how they actually made this happen for this this group of people, or this one particular person. Like this little girl needs hearing aids, and it'll cost $50. Okay, and then people pool their money together, and then they show those hearing aids being bought for that girl. So but the point is, find those things that you can, like, if you want to change the world, then go find, an organization like DonorSee or like Kinship United, any of those organizations. There's so many good ones out there. Find those things that you want to take action on and do it, whether it's weight loss or anything you want to get involved with. Okay, so now let's take some questions about intermittent fasting. If anybody has any, just go ahead and leave them in the chat. Kathy, someone said that it's only short term when intermittent fasting. It's only a question. Please tell me how you feel. Let's see. I'm not sure what you mean by it's only short term. Maybe you mean that the weight loss is only short term. Let's see, I don't know if you, okay, but I think that maybe what you're saying is like, oh, it's just short term. Like you're going to initially lose weight and then you're going to like gain it all back. Hasn't been the case for me. I lost the weight in I lost the bulk of my weight. I started at like 207 and went down to 157 in 2016. So from January 2016 to November 2016, that's when I lost the bulk of my weight. And that was with the intermittent fasting. I eat whatever I want, I eat however much I want at my meal or at my meals when I had a longer window. So I maintained that weight loss for a year, right at a year, before I decided I wanted to lose more. Because at that point, I was still a few pounds overweight, like 3 or 4 pounds like overweight according to BMI. And so with that, I found maintenance to be super easy. Like it felt so effortless. And now I did do some kind of form of intermittent fasting. Generally speaking, I was very loosey-goosey. I was like, some days I'd intermittent fast, other days I wouldn't. I wanted to keep it within like 5 pounds of my end weight. So like I wanted to stay under 163. So I want to be 162 or less. If I had creeped up above that, I wanted to start losing again. So I maintained again for from November 2016 all the way to September 2017, maintained easily. It's not like as soon as I changed, because at that point when I stopped, in 2016, at the end of 2016, and I just started to maintain. I was at OMAD, and I went back to eating. A lot of times it was basically 2 meals a day. Sometimes it was three. Sometimes it was 1 meal a day. Sometimes it was 1 meal with evening snacks. It just really depended. And so then now I have gone and done, I've lost down to 140, so that was like an additional 17 pounds. And so what I've been doing at this point, I'm maintaining. I've given myself the freedom to just eat however I want, but I really like eating 1 meal a day. So I haven't yet gone back to eating like say twice a day or anything like that, just because I prefer eating once a day. But we'll see. Like I plan on, especially during the holiday times, I know that there will be a lot more off days, a lot more like 2 meals a day or like regular kind of eating. So yeah. So I think hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if I misunderstood it. Let's see. Melissa, you asked, do you have cream in your coffee during your fast? Yes, I do. I drink coffee with half and half, which is, I don't know if you're in America or not, but for those people listening right now who are not in America, half and half is like apparently not a thing in a lot of other countries. So that's basically cream, like what most cultures would just call cream. In our culture, it's basically half heavy cream and half whole milk, and they mix it together into what's called half and half. I generally speaking, because people always ask me, well, how much half and half? And so in like a 12-ounce mug of coffee, it's about 2 to 3 tablespoons of half and half. I never measure. The only reason I ever even measured was because people kept asking me, well, how much half and half? I even have on my website a thing that shows like how much, like what it even looks like, if that helps you even more. Because I like it with cream. Black coffee, I can do black coffee, like I can drink it and I can find it mildly enjoyable, but I really prefer cream in my coffee. I just do. And I have it 3 times a day, if I didn't say that out loud. So 3 times a day, usually like right upon waking, a couple hours later, and then again around 2 o'clock. Now in the beginning though, I used coffee as more like a way to stave off hunger and to kind of not miss meals as much. Like, so instead of having breakfast, I had coffee, and instead of having lunch, I had coffee. And then I had like a 3 o'clock coffee, which kind of seemed to psychologically help, even though I wasn't like feeling all that hungry. Sometimes I was, and sometimes that would be like, oh, all right, that kind of gets me through the day type thing. But most of the time, it was just that psychological thing of everybody else is breaking for food, so it was nice to have that break for coffee. So, Kimbra, you live in Virginia. It's cold. How do I get 6 miles every day? So, Kimbra, the way I got 6 miles, so right now I'm in an RV, and so the way I get my 6 miles is I go outside and get my 6 miles every day, unless the weather is horrible, in which case I actually do my 6 miles in here. It's a Class C RV. It's less than 300 square foot total, and it's just pacing back and forth. When I lived in a traditional house, though, I walked inside my house. That was how I preferred it. I really loved house walking. I would just walk around my house, just walk inside my house, from the bedroom to the living room. So a lot of times I like to just walk back and forth in my bedroom, just around from the head of the bed to the other side of the head of the bed, and back and forth. Because I'm an introvert and I like to just put some earphones on and listen to podcasts and or just watch Netflix or Amazon Prime. I just walk around my house, and I preferred that. I don't I'm just an introvert. I like being in my own little bubble. So that's how I did it, and it also kind of excuse proofed me because then I knew like you have no excuse. Like you're inside, it's climate controlled, you can get your 6 miles in. So that's what I did. And my houses ranged in size from like 1,200 square feet all the way up to maybe like 1,900 square feet, maybe 2,000 square feet. And then now I'm in like a 300 square foot thing. So, but it is really hard. I think it's really hard to be consistent with your walking when the weather is such a big factor. If you're just walking outside. now I feel like, I mean, it's so well ingrained in me, it would be hard for me to get out of the habit. And it's been put to the test, in here, because it's like, especially because now it's like, I'm down to my goal weight. There are these things where I kind of think, like Thanksgiving, that was a time where it's like, do I really want to go outside and walk 6 miles a day? And I did. And I'm glad that I did, because I have found I'm in a much better mood when I walk. When I get out and walk 6 miles, it's great for my mental health, I think. So, okay. So let's see. Hey, Stephen, Rafael, glad you're in the house tonight. Kathy, you asked, do I count calories? No, I do not. I counted calories um, in in 2015. I started going to the gym, and I started counting. I started out by tracking. First of all, just logging food. Just writing down what I ate. And I was losing about a pound a week like that. I was doing powerlifting, and I was experimenting with intermittent fasting, though I was not consistent. I was losing about a pound a week. And I was also doing CrossFit. I was doing CrossFit, and then after a while, I started doing powerlifting, and then I hurt my back, and so. I think right around the time I hurt my back, I started saying, okay, well, I'm going to start counting calories. And I quickly drove myself insane with the counting of the calories. Like, I thought that I used my Fitbit as the, calorie burn thing. I thought, okay, so I tried to give myself a really big deficit. I thought, okay, I'm going to eat a big deficit, or eat so that I have a big deficit, rather. And that wasn't pulling the weight off faster. I thought I should be losing a lot faster than a pound a week. And so then I started getting obsessive. I started like weighing and measuring all of my food. And I just had this moment where I looked around, and I was getting very resentful, first of all, of the having to track calories in the first place. And I looked around at the dinner table, and we were having tacos, and I had like measured out my little sad little quarter cup of cheese, and I was like sprinkling on my tacos, and I just said, I've had it. This is ridiculous. I'm the only person at the table who is doing this crap, and I'm the only one who's overweight. So it just felt like insanity to me. Now, that's not to say that people don't have success with counting calories. Some people, it is their jam. That is how they feel empowered, and they do really well with it, and it's like, it's great for them, but it's just not great for my personality, whatever. So I at that point, I said, I'm never counting calories again. And when I stopped counting calories, I was having just the same amount of success, basically, as when I didn't count calories. So yeah, and so I haven't counted calories since like October something, 2015. I put that in my book. Which is available as an audiobook as of, I think, today. That was the first time that I saw it on Amazon as an audiobook. So, and it's read by me. So if you're an audiobook kind of person, check it out if you want to. Okay, so let's see. Hey, Nancy, glad you're here. Action conquers fear. Oh, so true, Robin. So true. Vicky, let's see. Steven, are you talking about me? That's so funny that you're saying that I look younger. It just must be the lighting. I don't know. And yes, Teresa, slow and steady wins the race. Every single time, I'm telling you, slow and steady. Just that methodical. I'm just going to be consistent. I'm just going to, just keep going. And eventually you get there. It's true. The hair never wins, right? He just gets all, it's like shiny object syndrome. It's always like, what's the fastest way? What's the fastest way? And you do this unsustainable thing. I was the hair. For a very long time, I was the hair. And when I became the tortoise, that's when I really won the race, the weight loss race. Stephen, yeah, don't do the original birth weight. That would be not good. Okay, let's see, Stephen, let's see. Yeah, so Anand, you do trash on your walks too. I wish you would remind me what your name is in real life, because I know you're on the Facebook group. I know your real name, but I've like disconnected what the name is. So, But yeah, I think it's a good little thing to do, and it's like you can sit there and think, well, you know, it doesn't really matter if I do it or not. But if everybody has that attitude, then that's not good, right? And what if everybody catches on to your attitude, like, oh, well, you know, oh, they pick up trash, well, I'm going to pick up trash, and then who knows? Like, we might have just a clean world and stuff. So, um, Stephen, you can walk 6 miles a day. Uh, let's see, Christine, you're watching from London. Oh, awesome! Thanks for joining us from London. Oh, you're very sweet for that kind comment. Let's see. Uh, I hope you enjoy all the videos. Mary, Kayla, approximately how long did it take you to get to OMAD, pushing your window back? And when you were doing 2 meals a day, were you strict with 2 meals a day and no snacks? Okay, so first of all, how long did it take me? Well, okay, so I first heard about intermittent fasting December 2014. At that point, so I saw that picture of myself on Facebook that I was mortified, and at that point I said I've got to figure out this weight loss thing, and so I was searching in 2014. I was just trying to figure this out, like what can I do? I really wanted to keep eating all the foods that I always ate because I knew that eventually I was going to go back to eating those foods. I can be low carb, but only for so long. And so it took me like 2014 was just kind of a year of searching. I finally heard about intermittent fasting 2014, but I also heard like, oh well, you shouldn't fast longer than 14 hours, and you know it may screw up your hormones if you're a woman. And so I was really just nervous. And you know, several years ago, there was even less information than there is now. It's still kind of hard to find good information out there about intermittent fasting, OMAD, especially for women. So in 2015, I started experimenting. Like I said, I started out with like 8 hour fast. It was just like, okay, well, you know, maybe I can push breakfast out later. So throughout 2015, I pushed it out, but that 14-hour fast thing really like kept sticking in the back of my head, and it really made me doubt, like, oh, is this even a good idea? I would have success, and I would think, oh no, what if I'm screwing up my hormones? So I took it very, very slow. By the end of 2015, I was doing about a 16-hour fast. And again, I was being very overly cautious, even. I had done some occasional, like, you know, maybe I would do 16-hour fast, just like a one off, you know. And then in 2016, the beginning of 2016, I really at that point was about a 16.8. I might have been an 18.6. It wasn't like a set in stone thing. It was more like, you know, just trying to keep it in that range. That's when I started losing weight, you know, like really consistently. In 2016, January 2016, that's when I really said, okay, intermittent fasting 6 days a week, cheat day on Sunday, and walking 6 miles every single day. When I got consistent on that, that's when I really started to have results. So it was about a 16.8. I would eat, generally speaking, I was usually going to eat a bigger lunch because I was hungry by that time, and then I would not feel hungry until supper, and I would eat supper. But even at that point, a lot of times what I would do is, like, depending on when my window was going to be closing, I would eat something right before my window closed because I really wanted fasting to feel easy. So I was not strict with the idea of like only eating the 2 meals and not snacking in between. Now, one thing that I will say is I really started to be aware of my stress eating, which is where a lot of my snacking was happening. A lot of times I was just eating, you know, these things because I was bored. I was snacking because I was either bored or stressed. What was starting to happen to me was I was starting to realize that, like, I would be in my fasting window still. I would have some stress. I would start to feel hungry. I'd be like, oh wait, you know, like, I'm actually stressed right now, so I need to start dealing with that stress. So by learning how to deal with my stress eating, I think that helped kind of curtail what could have been otherwise like this kind of mindless stress eating during my eating window. I just started to be more aware of it. But no, but otherwise, like if I got hungry, needed a little snack or something, I really would eat it. But I tend to prefer bigger meals. Like, so if I'm going to sit down and eat, like I really would like to sit down and eat a good sized meal. Make it count. You know, that's just how I feel better. And so yeah, so snacks I'm not such a stickler on, but I would say if you find yourself like just eating with a lot of mindless eating, then maybe you might want to have a rule of like 2 big meals during your eating window, especially if you're not having the results you want. Um, let's see, Vicky. I always second guess myself on amount of my meal. Did I eat too much or maybe not enough? I go back and forth in my mind all the time. Well, Vicky, I had that same kind of like worry a lot of times with, especially when I went to OMAD. Oh, I kind of forgot to tell you guys when I got to OMAD. So in January 2016, I was doing about a 16-8. I had it in the back of my mind, like, ooh, if I just make my fasting window longer, so my eating window shorter, then I'm gonna lose weight faster. Even though I was in that like slow and steady mindset. I mean, for one thing, it was like I could go longer in between meals. Like I could push my window out. But I really did in the back of my mind. I thought, yeah, but it'll help speed up my weight loss. Turns out that was not true for me, at least. When I looked back at my data, and I was really surprised to see this because, like, when I was writing the book, I really wanted to be accurate. I didn't want to just assume things. I really went back and looked at the data. And sure enough, when I was being consistent with intermittent fasting, it was a pound a week on average. Whether I was, like it was maybe slightly less than a pound a week and slightly more than a pound a week, with kind of depending on where you would put the numbers. But so whether I was at OMAD or whether I was at a 16-8, 18-6, or even at shorter fasts. So that was, I thought, very interesting. But to answer your question, so I started slowly pushing it out. Now, by the end of, I think it was by the end of March, I was at about a 24. Okay, so 4-hour eating window. And then the stomach virus hit our house, and I was terrified. I was terrified of the stomach bug at that point. It was just I did not deal well with it. So I was so nervous during that time. We had visitors. It was so horrible. But something really good came out of it because I didn't eat. I had to force myself to eat something at supper time, and I just had to, like, it just took every ounce of my being to make myself eat something, right? And then when I realized, I was like, I just ate one time and I felt fine, and I felt pretty good, like as far as the eating was concerned. And so, like, the next day, same thing. Like, that stomach virus was horrible. It was like a whole week of just, anyway. The point is, I never got sick, but I was just eating 1 meal a day. And I kind of thought, is that okay to do? Like, I wasn't really sure. So I, like, started Googling, is it okay to eat 1 meal a day? And so that was about the beginning of April. And that's when I went to OMAD, because eventually I kind of said, you know what? I feel great. And really, I'm going to go on what I feel. And I looked up, different things. I saw some stuff about OMAD, and some people saying, like, that was kind of like nature's intended way of eating, or different cultures have done it in the past and been fine. And I thought, I'm going to do it until I feel bad, and then I won't do it anymore. But as it turns out, I feel great while I'm doing it. So it works really well for me. So it took me about 1.5 years to get there, I guess, is the short way of saying that. But you could go quicker. It's just that's how long it took me. Okay, Valerie, I'm on day 10. Oh, thanks for telling me I look marvelous. I'm glad that you learned a lot. I try to always cover the topics that I wondered about or thought about, or that I see people asking questions about. If you ever have any topic suggestions, please feel free to email me at Kayla@sixmilestosupper.com. I'm always looking for helpful videos to make, and let me know. So Stephen, you said you can watch Seinfeld and not snack. That's a bigger accomplishment than my piano playing. So true. And that's a great thing to talk about, I think, is about TV and and not eating mindlessly. That is one thing I think that we don't really realize, is how much food is marketed towards us while we're sitting there watching TV. It's like, if you watch traditional TV, especially, because like we watch Amazon Prime, so we don't even really see commercials, maybe an occasional one, but you are bombarded with food advertisements. Oh my gosh, like, it's ridiculous. Like when you just watch regular TV on cable or whatever. And that can make fasting hard. Which I don't watch a lot of TV, and I never, well, not never, but Monday through Thursday, we sit down to the table. We do not have devices on. We do not have the TV on. It is focusing on the food that we are eating, which I think is a really good habit, because you really do pay attention to what you're eating, how you're feeling. If you're just watching TV while you're eating, a lot of times it's easy to zone out and really not pay attention to how much you've eaten. I try to be very mindful, because on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, things are different in my house. Fridays we do date night. Usually that means we get takeout or some sort of, get some special food at the grocery store and eat it while we're watching a movie. And I've had to learn how to be very, very mindful while I'm eating, while I'm watching TV, because like what would happen to me, it was kind of like a kind of a wake up call. There was one time I was eating sushi, and I just really wasn't paying attention to how much sushi I was eating, and man, I almost threw up because I had eaten that much. I was just like mindlessly eating, and that was the point where I was like, okay, I got to be really careful about how much attention I'm paying to the food. So learning how to just, you can do it, is my point. Like I feel like at this point I have learned how to both watch TV and eat a reasonable amount of food, because I don't eat to just misery anymore. Even when I'm, and it just comes from paying attention. Even when I'm watching TV, same thing with sleep on the couch night. That's the family night I do with my kids. On Saturdays, we get some sort of food and we watch a movie together, and then Sunday is like our free day. So there may be some TV watching. It kind of depends on the day, what we're doing and everything, but that would be another day where I may have the TV on and I may be eating, but I am very aware of it. So if you're having a problem with maybe eating too much, maybe check yourself, like, are you eating while watching TV? So yeah, okay. Carlene, oh goodness. Vidya, food cravings stop me from following IF. Even if I'm not hungry, I tend to eat just because I crave. Do you have any tips? Okay. So I think what you're saying is you're having trouble during your fasting window just telling yourself no. And I think, well, one thing I would say is start with a very, very short fasting window. If it's really that tough for you to not eat, then start with a very short fasting window. Just sleep through it like I did. Like, just say, okay, 8 hours, I'm not eating, then push it out, like just by, a few minutes if you need to. Really start to learn how to be consistent with your fasting. It's a skill. It's like a muscle. It's like if you work out your fasting muscle over time, you will really learn how to do it and you'll be really good at it. But also, if you're having trouble sticking with any kind of plan, like, because it sounds like to me you're allowing yourself any foods. I hope that you are. That's another thing. If you're trying to not eat certain foods, and then you just say, "Oh, I'm craving it so bad, I'm going to have it." What helps me is to know that I can have it, just only at my meal times. And for me, that's that one meal a day. But when I was not doing one meal a day, when it was just, intermittent fasting in general, I would just say, okay, I'm craving, let's say I'm craving a chocolate bar. Okay, I'm craving that chocolate bar. I'm going to have it at whatever time my meal time opens. And even if that meant I ate junk, I still just said, I'm going to eat it, but when the window opens. It's about building that self-discipline. Now, if you're allowing yourself all the things and you're still caving during the fasting window, I think it's important to kind of do some self-exploration there. Figure out what is your motivation even for wanting to do intermittent fasting. Some people do it for like mental clarity, some people do it to lose weight. If your answer is because you want to lose weight, you really need to try to dig deep into why do you want to lose weight? Like, how much weight do you really need to lose? Because that's another one. Like, some people feel like, well, I should lose this last 5 pounds. Like, why? Like, really figure out where do you want to be and why do you want to be there, and have a good, deep reason for it. Because otherwise it can be very easy to cheat, or to just not stick with it if you don't really know why you're doing it. So maybe you can add more details and maybe I can help you further. Okay, so Karat, you asked, are beans helpful for weight loss? Good question. Some people would say yes. I have certainly noticed for me, they help fill me up. I feel very full. like like if I have beans, and I love beans now. It's so funny to me that I love beans because for a long time I did not like beans, but intermittent fasting has been like, I don't know, I can actually taste beans now. I can really understand the taste of the beans and really enjoy them. And they keep me really, really full all the next day. So I'd say from an intermittent fasting perspective, they do help me, or and conceivably they could help people lose weight with intermittent fasting because they actually keep you full throughout the next day, which means you're consistent, because it really comes down to consistency. That's the big key. Is like, if you can just stick with fasting during your fasting window, eating during your eating window, you're going to lose weight. But beans are a great way to do that because you feel full, and so if fasting feels easy, then you're gonna be fine. So that would be my answer. Okay, so you've always weighed yourself, PK Mom Life. I've always weighed myself every day too. I do it to keep myself accountable, but only actually have been using one day a week to actually count it. I do like how in other videos to take the average. Yeah, that's what I've found, is that taking the average is good. Like it keeps me sane. I mean, I guess because I look at different weeks in my life and I'm like, man, if I was only weighing once a week, I would have gotten the totally wrong message about, are you doing the right thing or not? Because, maybe that one day was high, but the rest of the days were really low. So I just like the weighing every day and averaging it because it really does kind of help keep me on a more even keel. Vicky, I just use a regular dinner plate, not a huge one, and fill it. Seems to be just right. Feel full and satisfied day 5 and not much hungry today. That's a great point, Nancy. That is something that Joe with OMAD Revolution does. Is he does one plate. He has a one plate rule. Now here is why I do as many plates as I want, because I like to feel not restricted at all. But I do use a smaller plate, like a 9-inch plate. I think I measured it. It's 9 inches. There are bigger plates, there are bigger dinner plates. And what I found was when I tried to eat from the big dinner plate, I would overeat to the point of being uncomfortable. I don't think it ever really affected my weight loss, but it was just one of those things I started to notice, like, hey, if I just eat from the smaller plate, I can eat as many platefuls as I want and I get hungry. And usually I think it probably helped me to eat less overall. I think psychologically is what happened. So yeah, but I think that whatever works. Like if the one plate rule works for you, then do the one plate thing. Yeah, Nancy, you cook very tasty food, but it doesn't make you overeat, just happy. That's so good, and I enjoy food so much more now. I've always loved food, and probably in unhealthy ways, right? But I still do really enjoy food. I think I'm pickier about food now. Like there are certain kind of junky kind of things I'm like, oh, I don't care. Now I still do love Snickers and double stuff, things that are junk food, quote unquote. But the point is, I have learned how to really decide, do I like this? Yes or no? And man, the taste of food just is incredible. Some of the things that you don't really think have a taste can taste really good. Jim, I've lost 30 pounds since moving into college in August. Awesome. That is awesome. But I'm nervous to spend the next month at home for Christmas, breaking fear of gaining weight or falling off track. Any advice? So Jim, totally been there, done that, got the t-shirt. As far as my big anxiety at one point was I had lost the weight and we were going up to Georgia where my family, my side of the family is, and I was like, am I going to gain all the weight? I just had this fear. I'm going to gain all the way back. I'm going to be totally off track. And I didn't have my scale or anything. So it was totally stressful. But here's what I've found. With Christmas and the holidays, I do the best I can, but I'm still going to enjoy the holidays, okay? So it's like this kind of fine line that I walk. especially because I have kids, and you're in college, so I don't know if you've got kids or not. But I've got small kids, and so for me, it's very important to have a good Christmas, and that will mean for me baking holiday cookies, building gingerbread houses, and eating them. Watching movies, drinking hot cocoa. Doing all these things, like going out for ice cream. We tend to do that a lot around Christmas time for whatever reason. I'm going to do all those things. I'm going to continue to weigh every day. To me, that's like one of those anchoring things. If I continue to weigh every day, first of all, I know exactly where I'm at, and I'm not going to get too far off track, or at least I'll know how far track off I am, because I'm keeping track of that. I do the best I can. So, in other words, on those days where I can be on plan OMAD, that's what I'm doing. On those days where I can't be because there's like a Christmas party and there's this thing and that thing, I'm going to do the best I can, which generally means like if I had a Christmas party and let's say it's smack dab in the middle of the day, I'm going to eat at that Christmas party. I'm going to eat my regular meal that I would have at my usual OMAD time. And then the next day, I'm going to get right back to eating OMAD. Expect hunger because like if you're going back and forth, right, between like, oh, I ate twice this day but now I want to get back on track with OMAD, you're going to feel hungry. Okay, it's just, you have to learn how to deal with that hunger and not have the all or nothing mindset. Just say, okay, I'm going to do the best I can. You may gain a little bit of weight. I mean, I think the most I ever gained was like 3.2 pounds. Sometimes I don't really gain much at all or anything, but I just kind of resign myself to the fact that if I do have off-planned days, I'm gonna have probably either weight gain or I'm gonna plateau at least. But I try not to worry about it because, to me, ultimately, life is about living. Okay, and I'm gonna enjoy those times because a lot of times you're seeing people that you might not see for the rest of the year, and everybody has different ways of handling this. Okay, some people are like totally cool with like going out to lunch with people and being like, I don't eat right now, and that's great for you. If that's how you can handle it and that's your personality, go for it. I'm an introvert and I'm kind of a people pleaser, I think. So I like to make people feel comfortable, and one of the ways people feel comfortable is if you eat while they're eating. So that's how I handle the holidays. I hope that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. Let's see, Nancy, I'm going to drain my water heater tomorrow. It needs stuff to do, and it needs it. Hey, and that is so true. Like, when you're intermittent fasting, especially if you're new to intermittent fasting, stay busy. Like, make a to-do list of all the crap that you've been putting off and take action on your to-do list. It's amazing how much stuff you can do. Vicky, you've been feeling better and better, getting less hungry every day. I watch a lot of OMAD videos. It helps you stay motivated, keeps you out of the kitchen, and you go walk at the mall. That is so great. Like when you do things like that, when you just say, and noticing, like, I'm getting a little bit better every day. It's getting a little bit easier every day. I remember, especially with walking, I had that, like, fasting I went really gradually with, and walking I went gradually with, but I will say that was more of a mindset thing for me. Like, it felt hard for a while. Like, I would have to stop and just sit, because I was like tired. I was like, I just feel tired. I really don't want to take any more steps right now. And then I'd sit down, rest, and then get back up and get some more steps. But it was more of a mindset thing. But I did start to notice, like, okay, today it was a little bit easier than yesterday. And if you can kind of just keep saying, okay, it's getting a little bit easier, it can make it more bearable. Let's see. Yeah, just stay consistent. Yeah, staying busy. I'm telling you, if there is one piece of advice for success with intermittent fasting, it is stay busy. Because when you sit down and you just think about food, that's when people slip up, I think. Linda, oh hey Linda, I'm glad you're here. You're sleepless in Greece. Still intermittent fasting, OMAD most days, otherwise 16 hours or more fasting, still trying to be consistent, still enjoying the journey, still losing, slower now. That's awesome, Linda. Be okay with a slow journey, I say. Just keep at it, tortoise mentality, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. It sounds like you're doing awesome. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, coffee helps your hunger too, Vicky. Yeah, so true. Anon but Anon, I had a hard time starting any regimen because I made too many rules. Oh, so me. Once I started doing just one thing, getting it down and trying the next, I made tiny changes and they've added up. Thank you for saying that. So true. When you're making too many rules, it's like you forget the rules, right? If you just have a one, just start out with one thing. Like, I mean, a lot of people would say, that exercising, you don't have to do it. And I would agree with them. Like, most people can do intermittent fasting and not exercise at all and still lose weight. I'm glad that I did it my way, but if that helps you to just say, I'm only focused on intermittent fasting right now. Once I get that down pat, I will add other things in. I think that's a great plan. So, yeah, and I will say that too. Like, I gave myself permission to intermittent fast, and that's it. No, like trying to eliminate foods or not eat too many carbs or whatever. It was just like, whatever you want to eat, you just got to get the weight off. And giving myself permission to do that took out so much stress because it's like, okay, all I have to worry about right now is the weight. And then, like, lately I've been thinking, okay, now that I'm at a good weight, like maybe I'll want to kind of focus more on muscle tone and things like that because I really did enjoy powerlifting. But I may try to do like pull-ups and things like that in the future. But the point is, it took me until now to start to think maybe that's something I'm gonna do. And like right now with as far as foods, it's really gonna be like I probably should eat more vegetables or like more often, I guess. I try to take that very, very slowly and as I feel ready, I guess. PK Mom Life, what is your take on drinking alcohol like beer or wine with your meal? Not every day, but maybe one day a week. I enjoy a couple of beers, a glass of wine with dinner once in a while. I think it's fine. I do that. Throughout the whole journey, I never disallowed myself like wine or I don't do beer. I might do an occasional like Mike's Hard Lemonade, which I think is technically kind of like beer. But I don't have much of an alcohol tolerance, so like 1 to 2 glasses maybe. I mean, that would be my limit. I think you won't notice any difference at all, like whether you drink it or not. The only thing I will say is that some people have a problem with not really just eating to being full. Like they'll overeat because they're just it decreases your inhibitions, right? So that's the only thing I would say is just still be aware of, okay, I'm full, so I'm going to stop. But I would say in the beginning, just like drink it however you want. Don't really worry too much about it. See what your results are. If you feel like, that one glass of wine every week is maybe making you eat too much, then say, okay, next time when I have wine, I'm going to be more intentional with not eating so much. And then just kind of work your way from there. I will say the only thing I really noticed with wine is that if I have it, let's say a couple of hours after my meal, because sometimes we do that, like sometimes I'll occasionally have it with the meal. If I do that, I notice no difference. If I have it a couple hours later, say like after the kids are in bed and we're just sitting there enjoying a glass of wine, I will feel nausea the next day, more than likely, and I will probably feel a good bit of hunger the next day. Not anything I can't deal with, but it's there. So if you're new to intermittent fasting, just be aware of that. Yeah, lots of people like Leslie Sansone's Sansone's videos with walking. She's like kind of like a step aerobics kind of person. Hey Jada, hey, you're here. That's the main thing. Let's see. Local, so Linda, drink a glass of wine with lunch. In the culture is where I live. I lost 28 pounds in 8 months. Wine is just part of the deal. Thank you for adding that, Linda. Because that's true. Like in Greece, it's much more of a thing, right? Like in America, you have like pockets of people who either drink, every night, and then some people, it's like an occasional thing. Some people are like teetotalers and don't drink at all. So, So, see, I'm glad you added that because you're having excellent results, right? So, I think that's excellent, excellent, excellent. Nasima, hi from Johannesburg, South Africa. I do coffee with cream as well. I do carnivore OMAD. What time do you eat your meal? I usually eat my meal about 6:30. So, that's not a hard and fast rule. I am so not like hung up on that number. It's really just about when is supper time. Like, like if it's a thing, because we travel full time, so occasionally the meal needs to be either earlier or later. Some nights, like if I have this and it kind of interrupts the meal time, I'll have the meal earlier. Usually I err on the side of having the meal earlier if something happens. I don't mind going later, but it's the kids, they get hangry, so usually about 6:30. Susan, I love the mental image of many micro actions cascading to eventual big actions. Ah, very good. Yeah, it's just how I really have found that to be true. Um, Teresa, yeah, people really love Leslie Sansone. I always like Denise Austin. She's always so encouraging. I love encouraging people, basically. Vicky, what types of foods do you eat, Kayla? I was doing keto diet before going to OMAD, so I've probably added some extra carbs than my body was used to. Just wondering if it will level out. Yes, it will level out, first of all. That's the first thing. When you add carbs back in, I read a thing yesterday that said, like, for every gram of carbs, it, like, sucks in 3 grams of water. I don't know if that's true or not, but the point is, carbs, that's just how they act. They bring in water with them, and so you do retain some water weight. That's just water weight. It's no big deal. I eat all the foods. I would say, like, if you look at what I eat on a weekly basis, you're going to say that's pretty high carb. Like, we eat spaghetti with jarred tomato sauce. Rice and beans is a staple around here because hello, is cheap, and also it's really good, and it's like a complete protein, and it's just super flexible. You can make chili out of it. You can do tacos and stuff like that. We have tacos a lot. Let's see what else. Turkey, like we have a lot of like usually turkey or chicken type meals. Some ground beef. Like a lot of times it's like carby kind of meals because it's cheap, and I have a family to feed, like on a budget. So, let's see, a lot of times we'll do like breakfast for dinner, which I really enjoy because I don't eat breakfast, but I do love breakfast food. So like eggs and grits and bacon with turkey bacon. I don't eat pork. Um, Toast, buttery toast and stuff like that. Quiche, just like it's a lot of different kinds of food. Casseroles, like chicken casserole. Yeah. So it really just depends. So Vicky, it's every kind of food. It is not keto in any way at all. So yeah, and I've lost 80 pounds, and this is how I've eaten, because my whole thrust and my whole goal was to simply eat all the foods that I knew I was going to eat and figure out how to lose weight eating those same foods my family was eating. So, Kim, I knew it. Okay, I knew that name. Ah, yeah, and it makes you feel double productive. That's so true. Oh, thank you, Robin. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the book, and thank you to all of you who have bought the book, and to those of you who have taken the time to actually go and write reviews of it, honest reviews. I appreciate that, because it helps those people that maybe run across the book but have not seen the YouTube videos to see those kinds of reviews. So thank you so much. I know that takes time, so thank you. It means a lot to me. So Nancy, you're 68, about to give up losing weight until you found this. Don't want diabetes. Hey, none of us want diabetes, right? And I think that's awesome that you've found something that it looks like it's working for you. So, and it does. Yeah, Linda's 66. Yeah, it works. It so works. Kara, do you mind sharing what your chest day looks like? Do you eat whatever time of the day, or OMAD, is it one day a week? I think you meant rest day. Cheat day. Okay. I was going to say, I don't really know what you're asking. Okay. Okay, so yes, I don't mind sharing at all. my general cheat day looks like this, and I'm running out of time, but I'll tell you quickly. My husband starts off the day right with homemade chocolate chip pancakes. That's one of the main reasons I even picked Sunday as my cheat day, because he's been making those as like an act of service to us, and it's so sweet and they're so good. So I eat those with copious amounts of butter and maple syrup, real maple syrup, and I have coffee with half and half. Then, generally speaking, by like lunchtime, I feel hungry again. It's like a really interesting thing to me. Like, if I'm not fasting, or if I'm fasting, I'm not hungry until supper on a general basis. But if I, like on a Sunday, after a few hours after I've eaten, then I'm hungry again. But I'll eat whatever I'm craving. Usually that's going to be leftovers, whatever we had during the week, any kind of leftovers that are sitting around. It might be a sandwich, like a PB&J or grilled cheese. And then for supper, usually it's like, I love doing peanut butter ramen, which is so bad for you, I'm sure. But basically, it's like ramen noodles that I take, like the beef ramen noodles. Use a little flavor packet. I drain off most of the water and I put it in the flavor packet. And then I stir in some like peanut butter, and then just eat it like that. Or I can do like spaghetti noodles, peanut butter, soy sauce, a little bit of ginger, and some of that sweet chili sauce like that you get in the Asian aisle at the grocery store. Good stuff. And so, but it depends on the day though. Cheat day has evolved for me. It used to be like, whoo, man, now's the time I'm going to eat chocolate and all this stuff. And now it's just like, I don't need the day like I used to, but I still do take it because I enjoy having that day off, that day of normalcy. So, okay, well, I am at an hour, and I did not get through all the comments. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate all of the comments. I'm sorry that I didn't get to all of them, but I really do appreciate it. If you are not yet on the Facebook group, please be sure to join. Thank you again. Thanks to my husband for moderating chat, and I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love all you guys. I wish you success, and I'll see you in the Facebook group. In the meantime, we will be back on Wednesday to do the YouTube Live, as always, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.